you found what your subject matter is, where you found what your subject matter is, whatever field that is in, stick with it, immerse yourself in it. One of my mentors told me, master your brief. And when he said master your brief, I was thinking, what do you mean master my brief? And what I did was I really have done that. I've mastered my brief to the extent where I can quote stats, I can quote this, I can draw for reports and journals, and we've done focus groups on this, that and the other. And then now people are like, whoa, okay, she knows that exactly what she's talking about because I had to master my brief.
Most definitely, you got it. Yeah. Because that is.
Hello and welcome to the Fiona Small Show. My name is Fiona Small and welcome to my show. Today I have a special guest with me. Her name is Chelsea Elliott. Chelsea Elliott is an author and self-publishing consultant, MSW. Welcome, Chelsea, to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Fiona. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so happy to see you too. Thank you so much for joining me. I just want us to do a quick check because your reception has gone a little blurry. Have you moved your Wi-Fi or anything? We're just a little blurred.
No.
Oh, it's just lagging slightly, and you're not that clear. And I want to get you perfect. You're coming back in now. Keep talking.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, let's roll.
That better? Okay.
We were having a bit of a delay. So welcome to the show. I want to say a big thank you. Handing over to you now to introduce yourself and tell us all about you.
Sure. So my name is Chelsea Elliott. I am a social worker. I live in Ohio, and I absolutely love publishing books and writing books for kids about social and emotional learning, just helping them identify their emotions and know that it's okay to feel them. So that's what I do. I also help people self-publish their own books because I believe in my heart that everyone has a story to tell to a child that can change their life. So I absolutely love doing that and supporting people along their author journey.
Fantastic. And I must say that you inspired me. Like, let's take this right back to how when we met earlier on in the year, when I was going through my own stuff with my son and needed the outlet, which was Clubhouse. I think we all was on Clubhouse where a lot of us connected and met. And I want to, actually just really acknowledge, salute and say thank you for just you gave me navigation, you gave me advice, we done some Zooms, you helped me really begin to think about actually what aspect of this what angle do I want to come from? What aspect am I going to be implementing? And it's on Amazon Kindle now. So, I know, I can't believe it. I just want to say thank you because you really inspired me. You gave me your time, your expertise to help me along this kind of pathway of entering into becoming an author. So, yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how it was for you. How did you, embark on this journey to become a self-publishing author? Take me back.
So, yeah, it's an interesting story. But one year I wanted to I was thinking about what I would get for my husband for Christmas. And I don't buy normal gifts. I don't like to buy gifts. I usually make them, which is ridiculous, but I do it anyway. Nice. And it was July. And I'm like, what am I going to get for his birthday? Or for Christmas, not his birthday, but for Christmas. And I decided to publish a book that he wrote when he was in second grade because he said that he always wanted to publish it and like officially publish it. We had been reading it to our daughter. It was a class assignment. And it had a hardcover on it, but the pages were like glued together, and it had his own original illustrations. It was so, and like he wrote the story. We read it to our daughter a lot, but it was tearing up because it was old. And so I was like, I'll just do that for him. You know, it can't be that hard, but where do I start? And I remember I helped one of my friends publish her children's book. So I was like, it's not impossible, but I have to hurry up.
Yes.
So I started that journey in July, and by December, I was able to give him the book. I gave him royalties because people were excited about what I was doing, and I really just wanted 2 copies, one for him and one for him to read to our daughter so she could, tear it up or whatever. But when I was talking to people about it, they're like, "Oh, I can't wait to buy it." So I was like, "Oh, I gotta make this available to sell." Like, I could give him money for this. So I gave him the copyright and just everything. And he boohoo cried, which is what I wanted, which I love. He cries so easily. I love it. So I recorded his reaction because I was so excited to give this to him. Yes. And we went viral for a while, and it was featured in People and like the Daily Mail and a few other places. And so many people reached out to me and said, "How did you do this? Because I've had stories since my kids were little, and I'm telling them to my grandkids now." And I was like, it wasn't that bad. It was hard, but it wasn't impossible. So let me see if I can help other people. So his sister was my next client. And that process, I was like, okay, I did the exact same thing and it went smoothly. So I just went with it.
So you literally stumbled across it as a result of giving your husband a gift that you wanted to personalize. Yep. Right. You what a beautiful gift, by the way. How amazing is that? And then now you realize that actually there was an interest here, people asking you questions, and you developed a business. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. This is an amazing story. So far, when you look back at kind of how you stumbled, because a lot of the time when we do start things, I think they're either initiated by our children. That's why there's this big kind of like mumpreneur boom, and those stay-at-home mums that realize, actually, what else can I do? I don't just want to be a mummy. I've got skills, I've got talents, I've got untapped, kind of things that I want to bring to the world. What else can I do? And what you've managed to do by gifting your husband with a Christmas present, how beautiful was that? And out of it now, you're now turning into somebody helping an independent. Are you an independent publisher then?
So what I do is provide publishing services to help people self-publish their own book. So they own 100% of their book. I don't want to deal with royalties. I don't want any kind of ownership in your story. 100% yours. I just provide all the services on the back end to make it real.
Yeah. Wow. And do you enjoy that process? Is it
something? Oh yeah. It's hard. It can be really frustrating. There are a lot of challenges. Everybody's situation is different. So I have the steps outlined, but everybody's life is different. Their schedules are different. I had a client in Alaska, like the 5-hour time difference was very different. So it can be a challenge, but I absolutely love that kind of challenge, especially when you see somebody who gets so excited. Like, I've had this story for so long and now it's a real book. And that's all I care about.
Amazing. So you've literally developed a global business. So talk to me about the video that went viral. Did you have any idea that when you because you've just done it to film his reaction. Mm-hmm. How did that blow up? Where did you post it?
It was on my Facebook page. And then I told him that it was there. And he was like, "Oh, that's so embarrassing. Take it down." And I took it down. But so many people were like, "Oh, I wanted to share it. And people were so excited for him. So I was like, all right, dude, I got to put this back up. Yeah. So it got picked up by some company, but they distributed it to a few other places. So that's how that happened. But I really I wanted people to see that this big Black man who is often looked at as scary is so emotional. Like, he cries at Disney movies. Like, he's just an emotional guy. He's so adorable. And so I wanted them to see, like, Black men can cry. They have emotions. They can get excited and cry over things like this. So I just wanted to share his joy with other people. And that's what happened.
That's so lovely. And show his human side. The human being. But that's such a lovely story. I mean, what you've done is you've created something off of the back of, sharing love with your loved one. And look now. So in terms of kind of like the book series that you talk to us about, because your background is in social work, and there's such an amazing connection with the children's stories that you write alongside your profession. How have you married the two?
Yeah, so I'm not a clinician. I've always wanted to be, but I always felt like I was too emotional for that. So I always wanted to contribute in some way. So I'm a macro social worker, which is like an administrative level social worker. My degree is in social innovation and just coming up with like innovative ways to solve social problems.
Yes.
So I always wanted to do something to do that. And one day, I don't remember what happened, but my daughter and I were talking, and like the idea of fear came up. And I was like, oh, maybe we could write a book about that. So it started off with like scary noises around the house. And I was asking her, what does this sound like to you? And so she was telling me what they sound like. I was like, it's so cool to hear that from a kid's perspective. Like it sounds different to me. Like a vacuum sounds different to me than it does to her, you know? So that's how my first story came about. It's about being afraid, but still being brave in that fear.
Wow.
And being able to identify all of that. So the first book has 14 emotions in it. I have them colored so the kids can recognize them. And then in the back of both of my books, it's like kind of like a curriculum, like a way to extend the conversation and really embed in them, like, these were the emotions that you saw. Like, how did they make you feel? You know, have you identified these in yourself before? So the second book is about anger. And when we would play tic-tac-toe, which was one of her favorite games, she would get really upset. She does not like to lose. I don't like to lose either, so I know where she gets it from.
Yes.
So she doesn't like to lose. So I was like, okay, let me make a book. And then I incorporated her best friend in it because you can do that when you write your own books, right? So it's about her and her best friend playing her favorite game with her sister and a dog around. And she gets really upset. So I put in there different ways to identify that you're upset, and then different anger management techniques that kids can use when they're mad. And then in the back, it has like a little more. There are 13 in that one, and a little more into that curriculum in the back.
That's so amazing. So they're really good conversation starters as well, isn't it? Because when you're speaking about, and it's so beautiful to be able to begin these conversations early with the children, because sometimes it's like these things are left quite late down the line, and then you're thinking, well, when did these kind of traits begin, and when did we notice that this child was a bit angry or a bit upset or a bit sad or used to kind of throw tantrums, whatever it was? When was the time? So it's very good to, I suppose, get in earlier so that you can then be able to help them to understand their feelings. I mean, even us as adults, we're, for goodness sake, learning about our feelings and our emotions. And sometimes we shock ourselves and think, oh my gosh, I didn't really mean to react like that. So managing yourself can be a task and a challenge. So I think that's wonderful what you're doing, because you're allowing for the children to be so expressive and open and master their self, master their emotions. That's amazing. See, and the good thing, you've got a little person that you can actually use as your little experiment as well. So you've got a trial and tested one there.
Yeah, she's my tester for everything.
She's your tester. I love it. So would you say that, through this journey of motherhood, and you're a mother of two, correct? Yeah. What's the age group of your children?
11 months and 4. Both of their birthdays are next month.
Wow. So you've got an 11-month-old and a 4-year-old, and you're running a business, and you're a wife, and you're fabulous. Yeah, let's put that out there. You're doing some of it. You're helping others. You've got clients, across the world. Tell me about how you are juggling it all. I'm not going to use the word balance because it's played out. How are you juggling it?
Some days it feels like I have dropped every ball.
Yeah.
And other days I'm like, you know what? Who cares? Let's just go with the flow and see what happens. But when my calendar doesn't reflect that lifestyle, it just feels like craziness and mayhem. But get to the end of each day. The one thing that I'm very intentional about doing is making sure my kids don't think that my anger or frustration or sadness or whatever I'm feeling in that moment is a reflection of them. Like I can cry in front of them and they know, okay, mommy's, crying right now, and that's okay. Yeah. Mommy's mad right now, and that's okay. My daughter will tell me, Mommy, everybody gets frustrated. It's okay. And I'm like, all right, girl, thank you for reminding me that. I don't play when it comes to feelings and emotions, because you're right. Kids
sense Yeah,
It happens early. It starts very early.
it
And
does.
the way that we react to things is most likely how they're going to react. And
Yes,
so if I see in her something done myself, and I'm like, if I would have told her to stop doing that, I need to stop doing it too.
that's
So
right.
I'm really intentional, not perfect, but really intentional on making sure that they don't think that whatever I'm feeling is on them. But I have emotional reactions in front of them, because how else are they going to learn how to handle themselves if they don't see it?
That's
We're not perfect. No human being on this earth is perfect. And they
no,
need to see that they're not perfect either, and that's okay. It's
that's
okay
okay.
to feel.
That's so amazing. And do you know what I love is that this is kind of like a bit of a new way of parenting, because I
Mhm.
know that this is, if these were I wouldn't even say values, but these kind of conversations and the openness, transparency, and understanding about emotions and looking at how we're feeling and being able to articulate that. When we were children, we probably would have grown into very different adults. A lot of us are learning a very new way of parenting now, because we have a whole different generation, right? These generation, they come and teach us, so
Yeah.
we're learning new ways of how to, communicate with them, allow them to understand themselves, allow them to, share with us, and also tell us how we're doing. It's okay for, if our child, if we've done something as their parent and they're not pleased, it's okay for our child to say, well, mummy, what you done made me sad, or why did you react that way? And being able to have that open dialogue from now, not only does it strengthen our relationship with them, it strengthens their future relationships down the line when they go out in the big wide world, because they're going to encounter lots of different people. So it's so refreshing to hear just the way that you are approaching your way of parenting in such an open way, because culturally sometimes things get in the way. Some of the way that we've, like I said, been conditioned can get in the way, and we just adopt that same doctrine that we've always known, and it's not done some of us any favors. Let's keep it real, so I think that's beautiful.
I
One,
think that's the key thing, though. Like, I don't want to miss this. You said that they teach us, and I feel generations as these little thing. Oops, my Fiona, wake up, girl.
yeah, you're on, but
Okay,
you're on your
and now I'm back.
yeah, your reception was lagging a little bit. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I just got big. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was bringing you on screen just in case it was your reception that was, maybe you needed to be on screen solo. It's better now. Keep going. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So I feel like the older generation saw kids as these things that needed to be molded and shaped and told what to do, and be quiet, don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Right.
And that's just not how it should be. That's not at all how it should be. They
No.
teach us so much if we're willing to listen. They
So,
teach us so much about ourselves, about themselves, and
yeah.
who they are, and then who we are. And I think
Yeah.
that there is such a beauty in getting a child's perspective on life, because they have the purest, unfiltered, unchanged by society view. And we need to be living by that. We
Yeah,
work so hard to get back to that.
we
So
do.
why tear them down and break them down into, what we think they should be, so that they have to go through therapy and counseling and life coaching and all that stuff just to get back to where they are, where they
Exactly.
started. So we learn so much from them, and all we have to do is listen.
We
That's all we
do.
have to do, and be receptive to what they're saying,
It's
because
true
they're not
because
being just, they're not trying to hurt us. They're
no,
just letting us know how they feel. They're advocating for themselves at birth. They're advocating for themselves.
they they
And
are.
we spend so much time taking that away from them, and then telling them once they're 18, okay, you're on your own, go and be this perfect human being, even though I
Exactly.
just took all that away from you.
Exactly. And this is it. This is really what you're describing is us. When you look, sometimes they're actually kind of like miniature versions of us as well.
Thank you.
Because you look at them, we brought them into the world, so there are going to be traits in them. And sometimes you look at them and think, gosh, I do admire just how vocal you are, how
Mhm.
straight down the line. It's important. And I like what you said when you said, we'll set by the time we've been telling them, there's sometimes we're always saying, no, don't do this, stop that. Sometimes if you listen to us, we're always correcting, and then they'll get to a certain age and we'll be like, sky's your limit, don't let no limitations stop you.
Yes.
But we've spent most of our time saying, stop, no, don't, this, trying to correct. So it's important that we look at ourselves and reflect what we want to see as well. And that's not always easy because, as you rightly said, the generation before us and some of the generation that raised us in a way to say, children not seen and not heard, that old school mentality. Us now as these new kind of modern mothers, people sometimes probably look at us and be like, well, what kind of parenting style is that? Even my mum has a saying, and she says, I'm not used to these children.
Yeah.
She's because they're very, very, they're different. I'm like, Mum,
Yeah.
they're a different generation, and it's interesting that we now have to, almost take a bit of a pause as well, and just kind of analyze, look at our children, look at what it is that we are investing in them and looking at their needs. And especially when you've got two, like us, who I have two very different character children, two very different personalities. So the focus and emphasis that I put on my son, I have to give a different focus and emphasis on my daughter because their needs are very, very different. So I think when we, begin to raise these children in a way where we're like, actually, let's raise them as individuals, I think Chelsea may have frozen. You there, Chelsea? You there? If you can hear me, you have frozen. I might take a quick break and send Chelsea a message. We'll be right back. This is the good old internet for you. I'm going to pause and take a break, check out where Chelsea has gone. I'll be right back. There she is. We are back in the studio. Welcome back, Chelsea. I just took a quick break because I think you may have chipped out and come back, but you are back again.
Yes.
Testing. How are we?
Good. I don't know what happened, but
yeah, you're back in the studio. So welcome back. So we were just talking about the uniqueness of having children who have different personalities and characteristics, and how we have to, raise them as individuals and not just think that, one size fits all.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you this, for mothers who may have different ideas that they want to bring to market, similar to you, because having an 11-month-old and a 4-year-old, they're very kind of like demanding ages. You're still very much in demand as mummy. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to a mum who, like yourself, may have two younger children and are maybe just the mother doesn't feel like they are in control, or they feel like they should be doing more, or they're feeling full of guilt because maybe the expectations of motherhood is not quite as they thought it would be? What would you share?
Yeah, I definitely say to relinquish some of that control, because all it's going to do is frustrate you. You are on other people's schedules at this point. And if you can give yourself at least one thing a day that you do, I take a shower every day.
Nice.
That is my thing. Like, I will not miss another shower ever again, because that's my thing.
Yeah.
And I did the lights off, a night light on that looks like a candle light, and affirmations playing behind some music. That's my shower time. Yeah. So give yourself at least one thing that you can control, and give yourself a lot of grace. It's hard to do. It's hard to hear. I hate to hear it when I'm in a mood, like when I'm in a moment where my calendar's full and I just have no control of, like, the baby's not napping on time. The oldest wants to play all day. Like, it's hard. It's hard. And with COVID, we're all home. That's so it's really, really hard, but you have control over yourself in a sense. You have control over what you make of the day. And
Yeah.
so trying to give yourself that control, but letting go of control over them.
Yeah.
Like just let the day ebb and flow as it needs to so that you can have peace of mind in that. Like it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I'm talking to myself right now. Like today was a day. It
Yes.
was a day. But I
Yeah.
got through it. I am so excited to be here talking to you right now. And we're just going to see what happens the rest of the day.
That's right. And that's, you know, I want honesty, you know, because, you know, people will paint this beautiful, pretty picture of motherhood. And then you'll look at Instagram, you'll look at everybody's lives looking like, oh my gosh, they've got it all together. And I always tell people, don't believe people are only showing their best side. We want to be authentic. We want to be real. We want to say, actually, not every day is going to be a good day. You're not going to feel like you're winning every day. You will sometimes question, what am I doing? I haven't even, you know, I set a list today, and off my list, I've probably done one thing. I'll be honest with you. It's only because of how the day went, and then a few things changed around, and I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Tomorrow's a new day, and sometimes we have to tackle our motherhood journey, especially like during the holidays as well, especially as a mother working from home. I'm still working around the children and equally trying to make sure that they have a summer holiday. So when they go back to school, they can say that they've been out, they've been to museums, they've done day trips, we've done activities to make it fun for them. So it's important that, you know, if you don't feel like you're winning today, just remember that tomorrow's another day and you can rise again, you know, give it another shot.
Not just that, but something that I was doing and I'm going to get back to doing again, being really honest. Instead of me writing a to-do list of all the things I wanted to do, I would write a done list of all the things I did do.
Ooh,
Because my to-do list would be completely separate from all the things that I actually got done in the day. But that didn't mean that I didn't get a lot done. I still did so much, but it just wasn't the stuff that I really wanted to do. So that helped me change my perspective a lot, because it was like, man, you did a lot. You got a lot of check boxes on there. It just wasn't on the stuff that you know, thought that was the most important today, because if it was the most important, it would have got done. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. So that was a huge help.
I'm going to steal that. And I think tonight I'm going to do my done list as well, because I was actually, you know, even earlier thinking, I haven't actually done anything on that list. However, I've had 2 amazing meetings. The room that I wanted to declutter, I actually asked my brother to come over to do it for me, which was been done. You know, like the things that are still lingering in the background, that they are still a priority. I just didn't write them down. So I'm going to write my done list.
There you go. And you'll see how much you got done in a day. And it's like, wow, I did. Because I used to tell people like, oh man, I don't know. I didn't do anything. And I go down the list. I'm like, oh, that was long. Never mind. So it's good to do that for yourself.
Absolutely. And would you say that when you think about you know, what your achievements have been to date, do you look at, because for me, I'm think that sometimes people think the achievements needs to be the awards and like people see the stuff that I do and they'll see me in the press and they'll see the articles and they'll see the, you know, the things that's going on within the business, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, it's amazing. For me, I see those things. Don't get me wrong. I don't play them down. I see them as achievements. But I think I want to be winning inside. My achievements is really how fulfilled am I as a woman, as a mother, as a business owner? Take off these hats that I wear when I am sitting at home, you know, time to wind down. How does Fiona feel? To me, that's an achievement when I feel fulfilled. And I think we're all trying to live a life where we're looking for fulfillment in our own right. And that, for me, that kind of sense of satisfaction within self and knowing that, yes, I'm operating in purpose, but equally my purpose is not become a stronghold in my life or a barrier or a, you know, a monster. Because sometimes you can create something. There's times when I look at my organization and think, wow, there's a lot of different components here, and we're about to pivot because we're in a growth stage where, you know, the next 6 months is going to be very transformational. And I've had to have some conversations with myself about, actually, Fiona, don't let the little voices and the kind of imposter syndrome that we all get, don't allow for that to hinder the growth. Embrace it and enjoy the journey. So how do you feel, kind of that you've achieved and that self-fulfillment? What gives you that?
I think me making a difference in someone's life is like the biggest
Yeah,
fulfilling thing, but it has to be an internal thing first.
yeah,
Nothing externally, no relationship, children, nothing
yeah,
externally should give you, it shouldn't be the thing that fulfills you,
yeah.
because that's going to change.
Yes.
And if that changes, you're always crashing. So
Yeah,
getting the awards and the accolades, you have to be internally prepared for those things, because you get them and you're on this high, on this high, on this high, and then it's over and you crash. And
yeah,
that can shift your mood completely. It can shift your mindset completely. Like, okay, I need another one. I need to get another one. I need to get another one. And it stops becoming about the work that you're doing and the lives you're changing, or, the things that are fulfilling, and it's chasing things. And when you're chasing it, you're always chasing it. It's never going to be enough. So
never.
it does have to be internal first.
It does. It's so true. And that internal, it's something that it's a continuous thing, because there's times when you feel, I'm sure, like myself, you feel on top of the world, and there's other days you're like, what is this feeling? Like, what is this cloud? Why do I feel so heavy? Like, what's going on? So it's a daily battle. We have to, renew our minds. We have to keep speaking over ourselves. You said you do your affirmations. All of that stuff has to be kind of become something that you do on a daily basis for you, because
Yeah.
you're not always going to feel great and on top of it. And yes, I'm accomplished. And I think, like you said, you can continue to chase, because there's a lot of people, like I remember for myself, when the desire was, to get married. I want to get married. I want to be a wife. I want to, it was becoming a bit of an idol in my life, where
Mm.
I had to kind of sit back and question. And when my relationship came to an end, I was kind of sitting back thinking, well, what actually happened? And take the responsibility, shine the torch back on me as well, and think, well, I had, my timelines in place. I wanted it this way, that way. And then it became
Mhm.
something, well, really, Fiona, like, what is this? What is this really all about? So I like what you said in terms of the chasing, because really the chase should be an internal chase, that internal chase for happiness. How am I feeling? Am I looking after myself? Am I drinking enough water? Am I doing the things that I know I need to keep me functioning and
Yeah.
sane? you know
Yeah. I was telling my sister the other day, like joy and happiness are two different emotions. And the thing we should always be striving for is joy, because happiness comes from the things, like, oh, I'm happy I got this new thing, but I have joy always.
Wow.
That's what it should be. You should always be seeking that joy, because that's the internal peace that you have inside of you. But
Yeah,
happiness is important. You want to be happy, but that's more external than
it is.
internal.
It is. And that joy, talk to me about how you find joy, because
Oh.
a lot of people, they want it, but they don't know where to find it. Like for me, I find joy in my faith in God, in my,
Mhm.
kind of really knowing that, the plans that God has for me are plans of good, and holding on to that brings me joy. And, the Bible says, count it all joy. There's times when, even in the midst of sometimes turbulence, and I'm not feeling joyful, I have to remind myself. And that's my kind of go back to, actually, Fiona, remember what the word says. What would you say to other people in terms of those that are trying to find joy, but they just don't have it inside?
Yeah, for believers, definitely your faith. That's
Yeah.
a big one.
Yeah.
Um, and for everyone, I
Yeah.
say just expressing gratitude.
Yes.
Looking at your day. Like I said, today was a really rough day for me, but I keep replaying all the good parts about it and the
Yeah.
things that I'm really grateful for. Like my oldest is teaching my youngest how to walk, because she just is obsessed with her sister. And
That's
so she's
so
been inspiring her. She took like 4 steps today towards her sister. So
oh,
that's something that I'm going to keep replaying over and over again. I had a great therapy appointment this morning. I'm gonna
yeah.
keep playing that over and over again. Like, had a
Yeah.
great conversation with my stepdad on the phone. I'm gonna keep replaying that. So I created a gratitude and affirmations journal for adults along with my other books.
Love
for that purpose, because gratitude is what it helped me get off of medication
yeah.
and find that joy that I needed to manage my depression and anxiety. So I am a huge proponent of gratitude journaling. I have my journal next to my bed, and I love using it. I haven't used it in a little while, but it's definitely a big part of what I do just mentally on a daily basis. It's going through all
Wow.
the things that I can be grateful for in that day.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like you said, having your therapist, having that accountability, having that sounding board, having your affirmations and your journal, and just those moments where you can remind yourself, oh my gosh, look at my eldest teaching her younger sister. And
She's
then
so funny. When I
yeah.
brought her home from the hospital, she was like, "Can I have my baby? Can I hold my baby?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" And that has not changed.
Yeah, that's so gorgeous. And
Yeah.
isn't that welcoming when you think, gosh, she was the baby and here comes a new baby. Actually, it's her baby now.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
so sweet. So it seems like even with your family dynamics, I know you always refer to your stepdad, you've got a very good relationship with him. Isn't it important to still kind of maintain relationships like that? Would you say for yourself, the woman that you've become is because of those that you've had so into your life, raise you, and kind of have those influences? Would you say that?
Yeah. I know we've talked about this before. My relationship with my stepdad wasn't always the best,
Yeah.
but now that he's a grandfather and I don't
Oh,
know, we're just older, I see things from his perspective. Like I see why things were the way they were when we were growing up. And I've never heard him get as high pitched voiced as he has with his grandchildren. And it's the funniest thing,
so lovely.
the funniest thing ever to hear. So yeah, I think relationship is everything. And even in the age of COVID and not being able to go out and see people, I'm on FaceTime with my family, somebody in my family at least once a day, at
Oh,
least.
it's so good.
And then I have different accountability partners and motivators, support people. I have a group that I volunteer with for mothers in their pre and postpartum stages, just
Love.
to, talk about challenges and encourage each other.
Yeah.
But weekly, I have people that I talk to on a consistent basis because it keeps me in that mindset of, okay, this is hard and it's hard for everyone. It's not just you. You
Not
will get out of this. It will get better. Keep
wow.
going. And
Keep
that's what I keep telling myself.
That's beautiful. And like you rightly said, having accountability, having family. I mean, I've recently set up a family group as well, just because I think, as you rightly said, if COVID has highlighted anything, it's made us really recognize how important family really is,
Yeah.
and how together we need to be as well, because there are some people who don't have any and they're so distant, and they haven't, I suppose, recovered from some of their childhood issues. And it's so important to build, that love, and also, build the bridges if you can as well, because we just don't know what's around the corner. And we're living in such peculiar times, having them on FaceTime, having them on the WhatsApp groups, all of the stuff that we probably just took for granted before because we didn't ever feel that. And now making it our point of duty to, you haven't heard from one of your siblings, or a family member, are you okay? Haven't heard from you, you've not been online for a while, is everything all right, do you need anything? So important. And even the mothers that you're supporting as well, those postpartum women, those women who probably just need to hear from somebody like you to say, look, I've been through depression and anxiety. I've been through, taking medication. This is what worked for me. This is what I'm doing now. That's so beautiful to be able to hear from somebody who is also been through it, but is on the other side of it as well.
Mhm.
And in terms of like therapy, because I'm noticing now that the new kind of another buzzword is my therapist. When I talk to my therapist, it's become like your new, Gucci handbag or Birkin bag. Oh, my Birkin. Oh, no, my therapist. You know what I mean? It's this new thing. It's like, okay, all right. But therapy,
You
seriously,
are funny. You are funny.
it's really, and I sometimes I think, is this just become a thing now? Because everything becomes trending, isn't it? So it's like, are we trending on this therapy thing, or is it something that, because I believe the world should go into therapy, all of us, none of us are exempt from it. But when looking for a therapist, when should people like come to that realization that it's time to visit therapy?
Now,
I love
wherever they are in life, whatever's going on, if they
Yeah.
are like at their happiest, if they are at their worst,
Yes.
now, right now,
Yeah.
everybody needs a therapist. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a therapist. I have been going to therapy forever, since
Mhm.
undergrad, and I'm really grateful that I was able to do that in college. I wish I was able to do it sooner, but nobody really knew what mental health was, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
pray more and build your faith up, because that's all you need. I say
That's
pray
right.
and go to therapy. Uh,
Absolutely.
I've had a lot of different therapists. I know what I like and what I don't like, and I pray over them. But
Yeah.
um, I everybody should go to therapy. I know it's a buzzword, but I feel like people saying my therapist is more normalizing that,
Yes.
and not judging people for not going or pressuring people into going. It's like, hey, I'm doing it too,
That's
and there's
right.
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I always wanted to be a clinician, but I can't. I'm an empath. I can't handle other people's emotions for
Yeah.
too long, and I feel like that would just be torture for me. So
Yeah.
I have other ways of giving to the world in a therapeutic kind of way without being a
Absorbing.
therapist myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you would absorb that as well. No, I get that. And it's right. You're right. Everybody should go to therapy. Everybody
Yes.
should have, somebody that they can confide in and talk to and help you to just unpack your stuff. Because I think what we're doing is some of us have got like baggage upon baggage upon baggage, and we just need to unpack it and maybe just rearrange it and put it in different sections and understand that I remember once a friend used an analogy and said, I got baggage. I've got stuff going on. I've got issues. But you know what I've done with mine? I've put my knickers in the knickers drawer. I put my bras in the bras drawer. I put my, and I just put my socks are in the
Yeah.
socks drawer. And it was just such a great analogy, because really some of us, it's all just everywhere. And
Yeah.
when you're able to just really unpack it and put it into the sections and the spaces that it needs to go, you feel like, oh, it helps the mind, and I think a lot of us are battling many of things when it comes to the mind, and mental health, as you rightly said, has become such an open thing and normalized now, because we're recognizing we are embracing diversity, we are embracing neurodiversity, so we certainly
Hmm.
should be embracing mental health, absolutely mental
Yeah.
health. Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Completely agree with
No,
that. Yeah.
definitely.
I like to use therapy as like it gives me an opposite view of something, an alternative view of something or a situation that I probably wouldn't get or trust from someone else.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling a type of way about something, and I
Mm,
tell my therapist about it, I'm like, I don't need you to agree with me. I want you to say, well, have you thought of it this way? You could maybe look at it this way. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, okay, that makes sense. That gives me a different view of the situation. So I get the holistic view of it. So that's one way that I like to use therapy.
Yeah, I like that as well, because sometimes we're just too much in our own head, and
Yes.
we need that perspective. We need somebody to kind of come from the outside in and say, well, have you thought about it this way? And you're like, oh no, I haven't actually. So it's really important. So as we're winding down, I wanted to like find out, have you got anything coming up? Have you got anything that you would like to share? And also, how can people reach out and get access to your services? And I'm going to bring you on the screen.
Yeah, so I actually, from my book series, I created a card game, and I'm really excited to share more about that. I created a new company, so now I have another business, but it's called Somocom Lab, and it stands for Social Emotional Communication. The card game is about 7 different friends. They're called the EQ Kids Crew, and they are teaching kids about 7 different core emotions that are based on the emotion wheel. And so my goal, my mission with this is to teach kids about up to 130 of their most used emotions and up to 100 different coping techniques that they can use to manage those emotions so that they become a normal reaction to them instead of something that they think of after the fact. They become their knee-jerk reaction. So there's yoga involved, mantras, affirmations, and a bunch of different other fun things that they'll learn to help them manage their emotions. Again, my daughter is my tester, and so a lot of those things are things that she loves to use. She usually gives me one of the cards. It's a card game, if I didn't say that, but she usually will give me a card and be like, hey, I think you need one of these cards. You need a calm body card right now, or you need a comfort card right now. And she'll, use some of the emotion words in there. And my thing is, I always tell people, because they're like, oh, kids are too young for that. They're too young for that. Kids will learn whatever you teach them.
That's true.
So I think it's important for them to learn their emotions, because their emotional intelligence is more important than their IQ. In the real world. Like, no matter what they do in life, they need to be able to relate to other people and manage themselves in order to function. So my goal is to make sure that young kids get an opportunity to do that.
Wow, amazing. And what age group would you say that is for? What age group are you targeting?
It starts at 3, so 3 and up, but really like 3 to 8 or 3 to 12.
Yes, beautiful. And where can people get access to that?
So my Instagram page is Somocom. It's at Somocom Lab. So SOMOCOM Lab. And it's SomocomLab.com is the website. And they can learn more about it there.
Awesome. And I'll be tagging all of your handles as well and sharing. As you know, this is live on YouTube currently now, and you'll get the replay. It's streaming to Roku, Amazon Fire, E360 TV, so people can catch it on the replay for those that haven't heard. And then also on my stories on the Instagram, I'll be sharing and tagging as well. But Chelsea, I am just so amazed by all that you're doing in the midst of raising an 11-month-old and a 4-year-old, and just juggling, this is a pandemic, and you're using your creativity, your innovation to just make things happen, but you're also using it for social good as well and purpose. And it's just a blessing to see, because these are stuff that's needed, especially during this pandemic, because we need to come out of this strong and sane, and so do our children, because none of us have ever experienced anything like this before. So all the tools that you are bringing to market, every single thing, you're dealing with the mind, you're dealing with, people being able to express their feelings and what's going on internally. I think the world needs what you have right now, because so many people are just isolated and are depressed or down. Those people that are furloughed from work and have lost their jobs and have lost families and don't have probably access to therapists, because even over here in the UK, to get like an appointment at the doctor's, or to even try to access therapy, you've got a very long wait list. So being able to find tools that can help you to just manage as you wait on a wait list is truly needed. It's really needed. So I really commend you, and I look forward to seeing, even your books and all of your tools and your cards and stuff in stores over here, online, because we're going to be a generation that need to heal, and we're going to need some tools, and we're going to need innovation. And if anything COVID has done is really brought us innovators out.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's brought us out. It's made us say, right, it's now or never. Even with my show, even with the summit, you was one of our guests on the summit, all of that stuff. If it wasn't for lockdown, if it wasn't for, we needed something to do.
Right.
Something to do. We were on, look how many times we were on Clubhouse. We'd have locked rooms together. We'd have our Zooms. I'd be like, what do you think about this, Chelsea? I'd share with you, what time zone, what's your time over there? Like, yeah, let's jump on a Zoom. We made it happen, it happened. So in every, I suppose, negative situation or something that's outside of your control, what we focused on what was within our power to control. and it was all about how we responded, what we done. And these are the things that I really am passionate about, really sharing with mothers, even those that sometimes you're consumed with your worries, you're consumed with your situation, but there are so many other aspects that you could be focusing on, that it brings you joy. Being, we are social beings. You're in the
Right.
US, I'm in the UK, and it's like we're just in our front rooms, just having a girly chat, but we're managing to, bring value to each other, but equally to those that will be watching on the replay as well. And I think that's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I love that you've created a show and that you are just doing all the things. Like you are a powerhouse. I love it.
Thank
So
you.
excited for you.
Thank you. It's been a long time in the making. And yeah, I'm like yourself. I was like, I got to do it. I've got to do it. My children know mummy does her show every other Monday, and this is my show time. I've got my guests on, and we just go for it.
I don't have that luxury yet, but
Yeah, we're gonna get there. Don't
I'll
worry.
get there.
Yeah, we'll be looking back. I'll be like, do you remember when
Yeah.
little one was in the background? And oh, it goes so quick. And you know what? What's beautiful, because your 11-month-old is taking steps now. You're
Mhm.
gonna see once she's solid on the walking, you'll be like, oh my gosh, what happened to the little crawling baby? She's
Mhm.
now a proper walker. So you're gonna have to put everything out of her reach because she'll be able to reach it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pull it down.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to say a big, massive thank you for joining me on the show. You have been an amazing guest. I will be tagging all of your handles. I look forward to just what's ahead for you. I know it's greatness is ahead. So let's just keep on encouraging, keep on supporting, keep on empowering. And until the next time, thank you again for joining me on the show. I'm going to play us a show reel and I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you again.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.